Your emotions are not roadblocks. They're your global positioning system, your GPS. Emotions influence every choice we make, every relationship we build, and every challenge we face. Yet so many people try to hide them, suppress them, or ignore them, especially in professional environments. And here's the truth. Emotions aren't the problem. Our inability to navigate them is. Psychologist Susan David once said, "Discomfort is the price of admission to a meaningful life." Now that's emotional agility in action. Learning to work with your feelings instead of against them. Hi, I'm Richard Fontenay, and today in our Coaching Talk series, we're unpacking what it means to develop emotional agility, why it matters in work and in life, and how to build it. We'll walk through 4 key principles, and I'll share real-life examples so you can see these ideas in action. So let's get started. Key principle number 1. Recognize without judgment. The first step in emotional agility is awareness without judgment. Now, this means noticing your emotions without labeling them as good or bad, and accepting them as information. In coaching, I've worked with leaders who felt guilty for feeling stressed or overwhelmed, as if those emotions made them weak. But emotions are signals. They could be an important sign to the leader that their workload is out of balance, and their frustration might just be pointing to a values conflict. Imagine you're a project manager, and you start to feel irritated every time a team member interrupts you. Instead of snapping or avoiding them, pause. Ask yourself, what's this feeling telling me? And perhaps it's about establishing boundaries. And now you have some very deep personal work to do. In our personal lives, awareness might mean recognizing our anxiety before a family gathering. Not because we don't love our relatives, but because past conflicts have left us on edge. Recognizing this early can help us prepare emotionally before we get together. Key point or key principle number 2. Create space before reacting. Emotional agility is about responding, not reacting. And that requires creating a pause between the emotion and your action. One executive I coached said he felt like he was living in the fast lane, and he wasn't taking the time to think through his actions. He fired off emails without fully understanding the consequences, and was short-tempered in meetings and with his family members. He then felt guilty afterward. So we practiced a simple technique. When he was triggered, he needed to take 3 slow breaths before replying. This gave him the space to choose a more productive response. Now let's take an example from the workplace. Let's say a colleague questions your idea during a meeting. Now, perhaps your immediate reaction might be defensiveness. But if you pause, you might respond with curiosity instead. For instance, that's an interesting point. Can you tell me more about your perspective? And with that, you move the conversation to a constructive place rather than a combative one. And here's something you can apply in life. Let's say your teenager challenges your boundaries, as I did with my mother when I was a teenager, and perhaps you did too. Instead of reacting with anger towards your teenager, take a deep breath, step back, and engage in dialogue. And in that way, the relationship stays intact and you model greater emotional maturity. Key principle number 3, align actions with values. Now, once you've recognized your emotions and created space, the next step is alignment, making sure your actions match your core values. Consider this scenario. You are a small business owner who feels a constant resentment toward a demanding staff. And instead of firing her, you reflect on your core values, such as respect and balance and quality of work. And this reflection clarifies your decision, leading you to set new boundaries for her and adjust your responsibilities. And what happens to your resentment? I suggest it dissipates. And what about your staff member? I believe she will become a valuable team player. Now, one of the things I've learned in business is that values are absolutely essential. For example, if one of your values is innovation, then when fear of failure arises, emotional agility allows you to keep moving forward. Why? Because you're choosing courage in line with your values. Now let's apply this to a family situation. Perhaps family time is a core value. Emotional agility means that when you feel tempted to check work emails at the dinner table, you consciously put the phone away because connection with your family matters more in that moment. Or, as my young daughter once asked me, "Why are you always late for dinner?" And that brought me up short, grounding me once again to what is valuable within our family. And that brings me to key principle 4. Practice ongoing reflection and adaptation. Emotional agility isn't a one and done skill. It's ongoing. Life changes, workplaces shift, and new challenges arise. The emotionally agile person adapts. Take a page, so to speak, from a nonprofit leader. Let's call her Margaret. Margaret began journaling for 5 minutes each morning about her emotional state and what it was teaching her. And over time, she noticed patterns. She was more irritable on days with back-to-back meetings. And with that insight, she started blocking 30-minute breaks between sessions. And the result? She found that her productivity and morale improved. But not just for her, but for her team as well. In business, reflection can help you adapt to your leadership style when your team's needs change. For instance, I recall an agency I worked with that required both functional and operational leaders to meet the demands of a changing organization. And in life, reflection might mean realizing your morning routine no longer serves you because your kid's school schedule changed. And so you adapt, adjusting your habits to fit your current season of life. And here are 3 more ways you can apply emotional agility. In business, Emotional agility gives entrepreneurs a competitive advantage. Decisions aren't clouded by ego or impulsive reactions. Instead, they're guided by clear-headed responses that align with long-term goals. In places of work, teams led by emotionally agile leaders tend to have higher trust and lower turnover. And people feel seen and heard, which creates a collaborative culture. And in life, emotional agility builds empathy in personal relationships. You listen better, speak with intention, and repair conflicts faster. Think of it this way. You're at sea during a fierce storm, but you stay calm while steering your ship because you know you'll make it through. Your emotions are like the weather, stormy and unpredictable, while your values are like the climate, helping you stay steady because you see calm waters ahead. In short, the weather changes, but the climate remains steady. Emotional agility is similar to that. It helps you navigate the storms without losing sight of the bigger picture. Okay, it's time to wrap up this podcast. Emotional agility is not about suppressing or controlling your emotions. It's about using them as a compass. You recognize them, create space before reacting, align your actions with your values, and adapt through reflection. The best leaders and partners and friends aren't those who never feel frustration, fear, or sadness. They're the ones who can feel those things fully and still move forward with intention. This week, pick one situation, at work or at home, where you tend to react quickly. Practice pausing, naming the emotion, and choosing a response that aligns with your values. You might be surprised by the shift it creates. Now, if you found this podcast valuable, please subscribe and share it with someone who you think could benefit from it. And thank you for doing so. Next time, on the Coaching Talk series, we'll explore mentorship, giving and receiving guidance, why it's a two-way street, and how it can accelerate growth in both personal and professional life. I'm Richard Fontenay, signing off for now. Let's meet again next week. And bye for now.